I want to show you this wireless gaming mouse. Now this is the Mercury M2 and it's from a company called Gravastar. Now if you've not heard of or checked out Gravastar in the past, I recommend use the links below. Go check out their website. They've got a bunch of cool products available to you. Now Gravastar did send this to me free of charge to take a look at along with one of their wireless speakers. Now although Gravastar has provided this mouse to me free of charge, they haven't paid me any money to do this video and haven't asked me to say anything specific. They simply asked for just an honest review. Anyways, in this video today we're going to be talking specifically about the M2 wireless gaming mouse. They also do make an M1 that we're not going to look at today. The difference between these two, they're really kind of identical as far as the actual form of it. But the M1 is a magnesium alloy where this one's PVC. The M1 also I think has a 4,000 hertz refresh rate where this is 1,000. Now this is a full PVC mouse, but your first impression of this is going to be that it's very well built. It is very, very structurally sound. There's no give to it whatsoever. In fact, when I first got it out of the box, I wasn't even sure it was PVC at first. It almost felt like maybe it had kind of a metal frame in there. So it is very rigid, feels very good, very high quality. It's very well built. Now included in the box is the mouse itself, of course, a nice long braided cable, which is USB-C to USB-A. Now this cable is used for both charging the mouse, and you can run the mouse with a wired connection if you prefer to do that. It comes with a USB-C to USB-A adapter if you need that, and a 2.4 gigahertz wireless dongle. Which I think will be the most common way that everybody's going to use this. Comes with a little accessory pack here, which has some replacement feet for the mouse. Also comes with some padded stickers for the mouse buttons and on the side. We'll put these on here in just a little bit and check those out. Also has a microfiber cleaning cloth should you need that. And an instruction book which goes over all the features and functions. Now the M2 utilizes a PAW3395 sensor. Now this gives you up to a 1,000 hertz polling rate. That's configurable, of course, from 125, 250, 500, and 1000. The mouse also does utilize KL switches, which in the hand to me, they're not too light, not too heavy. They feel good. I haven't had any issues with it. Now on the front of the mouse is the USB-C port. Again, you can charge the mouse through this port or you can connect it and use it as a wired mouse. Now the M2 has a rated battery of 400 milliamp hours. Now this is good for 82 hours on Bluetooth or up to 63 hours on the 2.4 gigahertz wireless. Now I've been using this for quite a number of days now and I've had the light on full time. I've gone in there and told it not to turn that off and left it on my mouse mover for a couple of days and it's still at about 30% battery life. So anyways, this is not going to be a problem for me on battery life. This should go quite a long time under normal use. Now the box is listing the weight specification at 79 grams. When I put it on the scale, I'm getting a weight of 80, so pretty close, and I don't know how accurate this scale is. Kind of when I move it around, I can get some little bit different readings there. I do personally prefer a lighter mouse. You get the typical mouse buttons with this, left and right, of course, mouse wheel in the center, which is also a clickable button, DPI button selector. Now, some of these are configurable within the software, which we'll talk about in just a second. You do get the forward and back buttons on the left-hand side. Now this is an ambidextrous mouse, meaning you can use it left or right-handed. Those buttons are going to be on the left-hand side. You can't move those at all, although you can change the function of those if you need to. Looking on the bottom here, of course, you got your sensor, your pads down here, which are replaceable, and then you've got your selector switch, Bluetooth, 2.4 gigahertz wireless, or in a wired mode. Now inside the skeleton frame of the mouse itself is kind of this translucent bulb, and that's where the RGB lighting elements are. There are 5 different RGB lighting schemes that you can apply to this, which I'll show you here in just a minute when we go over the software. Now before using it, you're going to want to remove all of the protective covers on here. The documentation does provide you the link to come and download the software. But if you just come to the main Gravastar website and come down here to support, you can find software download, and then you can download the PC software here. Once you've downloaded that, just install it. It's a straightforward installation, and then you can go ahead and launch it. Once you launch the application, you can change the language if you need to do that. But you can click on the mouse here and it will bring you to the home screen here. Of course, anytime you make a change, it's going to update those changes to the mouse itself. First thing I want to point out is across the top here, you get the main different configuration screens. Of course, we're on the home page. You can set some settings there, the macros there, the lighting there, and a couple of other little maintenance items here. But back on the home screen, we get a number of different configurations. There are 4 to choose from. and you can just kind of click into that and then make whatever changes you want. And of course, you can export those changes. If you want to do more than that, you can export just a whole configuration, and then of course import that in, restore it back to its defaults, so on and so forth. Now from here you can select what you want each button to do. So obviously it won't let you change the left key function until you have another key acting as the left key. So in this case, say for example, you wanted the left key to be the right key. You'd have to come to your right key, change it to be your left key first, then come back to your left key, and then you could change it to your right key, and you can swap them around like that. Now, of course, you can modify the middle button here. You know, the forward and the back buttons over here on the side, they're numbered, and of course, the DPI button on the top you can change as well. Now, over here on the right, you can change the debounce time here. If you're like into drag clicking or things like that, you may want to lower this value a little bit. So on the next screen here, this is where you can change the DPI settings. And that's this number 6 button up here. When you click that, you can change the DPI settings if you want. Now you can change the number of stages. So this is just going to cycle through as many as you can do here. So you can configure up to 6 stages for this. Depending on the number of stages that you want, you can then kind of configure the individual values. So you just click on it, you change the slider bar out to whatever you need. Now this number, again, can go up to 26,000, down to 100. Now, when you select the individual one using the mouse button, this color is what will show on the RGB element. And of course, you can change this color if you prefer. Now, this is where you can set the report rate, 125, 250, 500, 1000. So let's talk about the sensor settings here. You can select LP or HP. LP is the default, and this is the low performance mode. And the documentation simply states that this is suitable for most users. HP, and it talks about there being a corded mode here, but that option is not here. It makes sense that it would only be HP. That's high performance mode, which would give you the 1000 hertz report rate. LOD is the lift-off distance. This is the distance upon which if you lift the mouse over this height, it's going to stop moving the mouse cursor. 1 millimeter is the default. But there can be some circumstances where you might want to move that higher. I would suggest playing around with it and see if one of those helps you or not. You can also select this peak performance function here, which is off by default. But if you turn it on, you get a timer function, and you can select the amount of time that you'll have the peak performance, which puts all the lights at full power and gives you the maximum response time on the sensor. Also do get ripple control and angle snapping. Now this is an internal sensor algorithm kind of designed to help you just smooth out your mouse movements. Think like get straighter lines and things like that. Motion sync is also here to kind of help you with circles and other things. It's an internal algorithm. I didn't notice a major difference with any of these turned on, but that's going to vary per situation, and you may notice it more than I do. So I would recommend play around with these settings here. The documentation states that the motion sync will add a 1 millisecond to the response time, so you might want to turn that off if you're competitive gaming. Again, I would suggest just get in here and play around with these settings and see if they really make much of a difference for you. So the next screen over is the macro list. Now we can create a new macro and give it a new name. Let's call it Hardware Artisan. And then of course we can come over here and we can start recording. Type something there, we can do that. We can insert actions. Well, let's stop recording. And then once you go ahead and you save that, it will save it as that name. So if we come back over here to the home screen and we want to like reconfigure the right key, we put macro, it will then give me this option so I can put that on there. The next screen over is the lighting mode, and we get 5 of those. Of course we get off, but we can do rainbow moving, single color breathing, rainbow fixed, neon, and rainbow flicker. So we can go ahead and kind of select a bunch of different ones here. But you can select whichever lighting mode that you want, and you can change the brightness of that, and you can change the speed of it. If you want to slow it down, we turn it down. That's rainbow moving. Single color breathing is exactly what you would think. Of course, you get some color selection mechanisms here. This is rainbow fixed, which is just kind of setting a static color on here. Neon. And rainbow flicker. Change the speed of it here. You can turn the lights off when moving, meaning if you're moving the mouse, it will shut the lights off. So if we turn that on, and then we just barely even move the mouse, it just turns the light off until you stop. You can also set the time and tell lights off after not moving. So after it's kind of sitting there, you can tell it to turn off after 10 seconds or 40 minutes. Again, all just to conserve battery life. In the upper right here, you get the battery meter. I'm at 26%, and that's after quite a number of days using this. This last setting over here is we can just kind of change a couple of the settings on the application itself. Of course, we can set English, we get the firmware revisions. Now to pair this for Bluetooth, basically you're gonna hold the left mouse button, right mouse button, and middle mouse button for 3 seconds, and that should put it into a pairing mode. And then of course you're going to set your PC into a Bluetooth pairing mode as well. Now down here under advanced setting, you get a long distance setting. In long distance mode, the distance will be farther and the anti-interference ability will be stronger. The corresponding working current will be increased and the use time will be reduced. Now I can use this mouse from a fairly good distance away. I was able to get a good 20 feet away from this wireless dongle and it still seemed to work okay. I can't imagine there being a situation where you would need to be that far away. Anyways, in my experience with this mouse, it has worked perfectly. I've not had any connectivity issues with it being even just right here close. I mean, normally speaking, I'm 5 feet away from the wireless dongle. So anyways, but do try that if you're having some issues or your PC is going to be a little bit further away. But that covers the software for the M2 mouse. Overall, it's a very functional piece of software. It gives you control over all of the settings that you need to set on here. I recommend playing around with them. Check them out, see what benefits you, what doesn't. You may not notice much of a difference on some of those. It really just kind of depends on what your use case is. Now, looking in the accessory pack, you get some replacement feet, as we discussed earlier. Microfiber cleaning pad if you need that. But it also does come with these anti-slip stickers, and these are meant to fit over your left and right mouse buttons and down here on the side. And that's kind of where I think they're expecting kind of your thumb to go. My thumb tends to sit back just a little bit from there, but I'm going to go ahead and put these on and give it a try and see kind of what they look like, number one, and if it changes the feel of this mouse to any degree that's worth using them. They got some cool graphics on these. Basically just peel it off, and then we're going to carefully place that on here. They look like they're pretty precise. You want to get right to the edge. But let's put this other one on. Of course, you're going to cover up the existing graphic. And then on the side, it's kind of meant to fit in this channel right here. So those are pretty easy to apply, and personally I kind of like the look of them. It's kind of like a rubberized, textured mat that kind of gives you a little bit of grip on there. I think it looks really good personally. Now everybody might have a differing opinion about that, but that actually feels pretty good. Your thumb is kind of meant to fit right down into that channel right there. When I've been using it, my thumb maybe has kind of straddled that little bar right there, but that's actually pretty comfortable. And I like the feel of that. So I'll let you decide whether you like that, you want to apply those. They feel like they would be fairly easy to remove. Obviously, I don't think they're not meant to be permanent exactly. You'd have to remove them and then probably clean the surface off. But you could get them off of there, I think, no problem. Overall, I've been using this mouse a couple of weeks now in various scenarios, even for daily work and editing and playing around with stuff. Overall, I'm quite pleased with it. It works good. It's a little bit different and takes a touch to get used to with kind of this rib cage skeleton type feature. It just feels different in the hand. Whether you'll love it or not, I can't say with certainty. This is going to be up to each individual user to determine whether you like that. If you're looking for a new gaming mouse and you kind of like the form and the function of this and you think this is something that will interest you, I recommend checking it out. If nothing else, go check out the website from Gravastar. They got a lot of other cool products out there, and I'll be looking at some more stuff from Gravastar here coming up real shortly. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about this mouse or video, please let me know. That's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching.